Sorry about the... Alright, sorry about the sudden interruption to the stream there. My computer completely crashed when I was trying to get the audio working again. So, as I said before, such is the nature of working with technology. My chat is disabled temporarily for a second, but thanks for stopping by, Cop Williams. I saw your question asking what was unexpected, just the crash was. I can't see any dialogue after I sent you my reply, though I'll let everybody know when chat is working again. So yeah, this should just be a short little playthrough of Dragonfall. I'm just going to have some of my audio play in the background to make sure that the audio isn't scratching too much. Yeah, we'll just basically doing a little bit of Shadowrun to take my mind off of grad school applications and to give me some relaxation before I jump into my thesis again. Audio isn't scratching too much. Oh, sounds like it is scratching, so just give me 1 second. I usually have a pretty good fix for that. Okay, still can't see chat, but just give me a minute here. I'm going to listen to the audio again. There'll be a bit of a delayed echo. And then we can actually get on to the business of playing this game and enjoying it. As always, I'm very grateful for free tools like OBS to let me do streaming and stuff like this, but I think the combination maybe of my lack of knowledge of how OBS works, but also some of the audio capture solutions definitely lead to more technical problems than I'd like. It always feels like probably the first 5 or 10 minutes of every stream is just getting everything set up properly. Right, so it looks like the chat room's working again. I just want to hear some of the audio, maybe of my lack of knowledge. Yep, there we go. Okay, so we should be good to go, and we're back to our visual glitches. But those can be dealt with. Oh, and hey Krunkalunka, I got to see some of your Path of Exile stream earlier today. Unfortunately, I couldn't talk during it for the reasons why I couldn't read chat for a little while. Sometimes Flash doesn't want to load the chat program, so I got to watch the Diablo goodness. I'm sure that's probably offensive to PoE players, that the game is different from Diablo, but it's hard to break the association in my head. Hooray! Okay, we're back to the game. So I know my narration always leaves a little bit to be desired. For this one here, I probably can't afford to shout too much given the hour and the fact that the walls are not that very soundproof in my apartment, but we'll do what we can. Alright, Paul Amsel. Minerva. Amsel peers at you apprehensively. His eyes are bloodshot, his expression grim. Did you get the information about Green Winters? No, not yet. Then please, continue working. We need to find that man. Dietrich turns his head at your approach. His aging face is traced with a network of faint scars, the legacy of too many fights over too many years. While he still retains a degree of strength and vigor, it's obvious that the shaman you see today is a shadow of his former self. Despite all of this, there is an aura of power surrounding the man. He raises his bottle, offering it to you. Minerva, welcome. I've got a bottle of schnapps that needs drinking, and we've a fallen comrade to drink to. As much as I want to do the hard-ass answer, in this case I'll say, refuse. I don't drink, but I'll join you in saluting her memory. Dietrich shrugs. Fair enough. To Monica. He takes a long pull on the bottle, then locks eyes with you. Let me ask you a question, Minerva. What made you choose to come to Berlin? I had my reasons. Such as? Come on, boss, I'm just trying to figure out who I'm working for here. I think I deserve to know that much. Just had to drop out of sight for a while. Sure enough, I think most of the team here is here to hide from something. Not me, of course. Given the choice between hiding from something and punching it smack on the nose, you know which direction I tend to lean. But most of the others? Yeah. Even Iger's hiding from something. Really? How do you know? Intuition. Got a nose for damaged people. Of course, I've spent most of my life running with and playing for folks who are damaged in one way or the other, so that might have something to do with it. So things got heavy back in the Ruhrplex, and you decided to bail and head out to Berlin. Am I getting that right? More or less, there wasn't much left for me in the Ruhrplex, and Monica made me a hell of an offer. Ah yes, Monica. Dietrich raises his bottle again, then closes his eyes and takes a long drink. After the moment has passed, he returns his attention to you. It all comes back to our girl, doesn't it? So let me ask you, just what was your relationship with Monica anyway? I know that you two knew each other way back, but she was pretty coy about these things. Why do you want to know? Monica was my friend. I cared about her. Dietrich shrugs. I don't know, I guess I just want to know her better. There were some areas of her life that had always been a mystery, and if you could shed any light on them, I'd be appreciative. I can respect that. So what was the deal between you two? Don't leave me in suspense. Say we were friends. Right there with you, and privileged to say so. She was one of the best women I've ever known. Anyway, I've taken enough of your time, and the bottle's almost empty. Thank you for taking the time to talk. For what it's worth, I'm happy you're here with us. Dietrich takes a final pull on the bottle, then tips it forward, pouring the rest on the ground. Rest in peace, Monica. We'll miss you, girl. As you start towards the safe house door, a large four-legged form steps around the corner. Dante, Monica's dog, an enormous mongrel of indeterminate breed. A low whimper emerges as he enters the room, head hanging low. Oh shit, Dante! Dietrich shakes his head. Don't worry, boy. We'll look after you. At the sight of Monica's dog, Amstel's eyes well up. He inhales but can't quite catch his breath. He started whimpering about an hour ago, turned into a full-blown howl. Wouldn't stop. Kept. He closes his eyes. That's when I realized something bad had happened. Looking down at those huge brown eyes, you see intelligence and sadness. He lets out a small whine and rubs his head against you. Stretch Dante behind the ears. Dante leans in and looks up mournfully, pressing his ribs against your leg. Guess the dog is going with you, Minerva. Amstel takes a ragged breath and releases it. A slow, melancholy smile plays across his face. Well, perhaps a part of Monica lives on in Dante. Return to the safe house when you're finished with Alltug, mein Freuden. With a little luck, he can help us locate Green Winters, and we can get to the bottom of this. He stares at the floor. And now I think we should all take a moment. His lips tighten for Monica. I guess I probably shouldn't have ended the run before I went through some of this dialogue, because it does actually tie in pretty heavily with what happened in the run, but... Alright, we'll talk with the orc who hates me. Iger glares at you, and you can taste the bile in her stare. She clearly blames you for Monica's death. Something I can do for you, fearless leader? Just 1 second. Sorry, I don't like checking email right away when I'm on stream, but obviously with the applications in, it's always good, if there's somebody who has something time sensitive that they need, especially when I'm so close to deadlines, I just want to make sure that I have those there. Alright, so Iger glares at you, and you can taste the bile in her stare. She clearly still blames you for Monica's death. Something I can do for you, fearless leader? Yeah, so this is one... I mean, I'll maybe just briefly talk a little bit about the game. So one thing that I won't maybe say is a complaint about Dead Man's Switch, but I think one of the things that had come up with the original game was that I always kind of got the feeling that, I mean, I don't think linearity is bad in the story, but it didn't necessarily feel like I had a whole lot of say in terms of what relationships I kept. Like, it always sort of felt like the story would kind of wind out roughly where it was supposed to be going, independent of it. Now, apparently, one of the reasons why people like Dragonfall so much is that there is actually a little bit more in terms of the dynamics of the relationships and that. So I do actually sometimes put a little bit of consideration in terms of what I have on here. So the whole story with Iger here, of course, is that one of the last things Monica had said to me was to let her know if Iger had kind of crossed into insubordination. And this is important, right? Like, clearly this is somebody who will overstep their bounds and is not necessarily going to, like, even if they, how do I put this? Like, she may have her military background, but I don't necessarily doubt that she would just simply take control of the group if she detected weakness in a leader. On the other hand, you don't necessarily want to be hostile, especially to somebody who's just lost a close friend. So I think in this case I go for the more middle of the road one. Yeah, I can say you can apologize, which is unnecessarily hostile, and you're wrong about me, Iger. I intend to prove that to you. Well, I mean, I'm the designated group leader. I don't necessarily feel that I need to prove myself to this individual. If they want to leave the group, then that's their business. So I'll just go for sort of the neutral responses until I can find a way to crack in. We need to talk about Monica. Not right now, we don't. Don't push me on this, Minerva. One of these days we're going to hash it out. And you can talk to all you like about the clusterfuck that killed one of my best friends, but it won't be today. Fair enough, but before I go, I have something to say. Spit it out, let's hear it. Alright, fine, then I will grovel. You're wrong about me, Iger, and I intend to prove that to you. She stares at you a moment, then looks away. Best of luck with that, Minerva. Now please, leave me alone. Alright, Iger, but this conversation isn't over. It is for now, fearless leader. She turns away. Do us both a favor. Take the hint and go away. Yeah, so maybe it doesn't matter how you answer these things, but I was at least under the impression that was what was happening. Glory is beautiful in a waifish sort of way. Her features are almost elvish in their delicacy, but there's something cold about her that you find slightly unsettling. What's more unsettling is her chrome. Glory is rocking a heavy loadout of cyberware from head to toe. She looks to be composed more than plastic and metal than she is of skin and bone. In the shadows, individuals such as this are anything but uncommon, but Glory's cyberware is first generation, all of it. Bulky, invasive, practically museum pieces. This chrome was obsolete before she was born. Minerva? Glory shifts her gaze to you, but her expression is as cool and placid as always. Can I help you? Hey Glory, how are you holding up? Don't worry about me. I'm solid. You sure? You look like you're a million miles away. I'll be with you when it counts. Right now it doesn't. I have a question for you, Glory, of the personal kind. I'm not big on sharing, sport. Personal reasons. You understand, I'm sure. The edge in her voice tells you that she's not interested in continuing this conversation. Again, a little more passive than I want, but of course, we all have our secrets. But if you ever want to talk, I'm here. I opted not to ask what we should do next because it's basically just an invitation to keep telling me the mission again and again. I'm assuming that ice is already in my deck. I don't actually know. The dwarvish tech vendor smiles at you with practiced ease, her almond eyes twinkling in the glare from a dozen trid screens. She speaks in a clipped, heavily accented German, which I will not attempt to replicate. Welcome to the data heaven. Can I help you with something? I'm in the market for something exotic. What kinds of tech do you carry? Anything and everything. Need a new deck? Some software, perhaps? I'm your girl. She taps a painted fingernail against a molded plastic of her data jack. Or maybe you're a rigger, like I am. Perhaps I can interest you in a new drone or two. It all sounds whiz to me. Let me see what you got. So I actually upgraded my decking that allowed me to get this better deck, so I'll buy that right away. I'm not 100% clear on what the other items should be. I think I'll actually just go for the cyber deck for now. Basically, it's better in all stats, so I'll confirm that. And I think you can sell stuff to vendors in this. Yes. So it's only 175 that I get for it, but it's better than nothing. And in this case, I can get Matrix Courier for those who like who dress for inside the Matrix and out. Grants +1 intelligence, so kind of a no-brainer to buy that. And I can just sell the other outfit that I have because I'm cheap. It's actually one thing that always kind of interested me about like RPGs and playing RPGs is that there's very little time that gets spent on practical things like, you know, where do you get your shower, where do you get a change of clothes and stuff like that, because generally with RPGs you're walking across the world and you probably don't want to be wearing the same outfit the whole time. But in the world of Shadowrun, I apparently only ever have one set of clothes and I sell the previous one as soon as I get it. So some of this ice looks kind of cool. I mean, area of effect is always nice. Degrade is interesting just because of the extra damage it does. Erosion is actually probably one that I really like just because of damage over time, especially when I have to deal with more than one target. And Killer is probably the most appealing just because of the amount of damage that it does. What I think I will do though... Okay, actually I already have Erosion, so don't need to buy it again. For that reason, I'm actually not going to buy anything just because I should probably see how I do. Like, I need to know what I'm doing a little bit better before I... Alright. Cafe Sev, which is where I'm my contact. Jan Goldschmidt. Hello, my friend. The voice that comes from the man in the chair is as enormous as its owner, a deep, booming roar, dripping with unrestrained mirth. Fine day for a soy calf, yes? Yes, it certainly is a beautiful. From the back of the store, the voice of the shopkeep cuts you off. Don't mind the fool in the chair. He roars like a traumatized walrus, stewing all day in his own sweat. The man from behind the bar glares at Goldschmidt, his upper lip curled in disgust. I tolerate him only because he takes the soy calf by the bucket. Goldschmidt responds with a raucous belly laugh. Apparently he finds the shopkeeper's insults to be hilarious. Ah, Altug, mein Freundin, you are as quick-witted and sharp-tongued as ever. I bow to you. If you wouldn't mind... Once again, the shopkeep cuts in. To bow to me, you would first have to vacate your chair. The shopkeep clasps his hand together, clasping them in front of his chest. I shall summon a team of determined young men and an ox to assist you with the task. With luck, you will be on your feet by nightfall. Goldschmidt smiles up at you, his small eyes glittering. Enough of this senseless bickering. You have approached me for a reason, yes? Tell me, what can Jan Goldschmidt do for you? Why did you put up with those insults? Don't you have any pride? I put up with them because they amuse me. The fact that they amuse me infuriates my dear friend Altug, who then hurls more insults. Goldschmidt raises his soy calf cup in salute. And thus the cycle continues. It is 2 years now that I've been your customer. Yes, Altug? 2 years of soy calf and strained patience, yes. And I remain happy, and Altug makes money. An ideal business relationship. That all sounds perfectly healthy. Take care, Jan. Goldschmidt gives you a deep nod, his jowls curling. Until next time, my friend. I actually like little relationships like that. As far as I can tell, this has absolutely nothing to do with the plot, but it's a neat little dynamic. Special for today is caramel soy calf. The man behind the counter looks right past you and at the dog following close behind. Dante, I will fetch his water dish. Perhaps coffee for our friend here. Paul Amstel sends his regards. When he hears Amstel's name, the Turk's voice lowers, and his accent becomes less exaggerated. His eyes take on a knowing look. Ah, very good. Please express to Herr Amstel my appreciation of his patronage. If he needs any more catering jobs seen to in the future, I'm always happy to provide. He tells me you're developing the menu for a friend of his now, Herr Winters, I believe. I want to hear all about it. Yes, of course, O wise one. Come. A young woman bustles from the back room. Her gum chewing is loud enough to hear over the noise of the coffee grinders. Barakgazi spits something out in the rapid-fire Turkish. As you wish, uncle. I'll see to it right away. Kami offers you a shy grin, snaps her gum, and hurries back into the room where she came from. My girl Kami is arranging to make contact with the chef as we speak. This will surely take some time. My chef is a busy man. While we wait, I wonder if you could be so kind as to run a small errand for me. A trifle, really. I hate to trouble you. I'm embarrassed even to ask. But I would be most appreciative of your help. What is this trifle? Altug's voice slows to nearly a whisper. The errand is simple, hardly worthy of you. I've installed a number of data taps to Berlin's fiber optic network. It's part of my civic duty, you understand. These taps provide free matrix access to all who live in the Kreuzbazaar. In order to maintain their, how do I say it? Their anonymity, each tap's protocol buffer must be reset every few days. I simply wish for you to visit each data tap and reset it. That's it, no catch? There is no catch, I assure you. It is time-consuming and a bit tedious. Nothing more. Just reset the taps and come back when you are finished. There should be 3 of them scattered around this neighborhood. The first one is just outside. Look for a metal box with the yellow arrows painted atop it. By the time you return, I should have the information Herr Amstel requested. I suppose I should have asked for money for the job, but I have a feeling it's going to obligate me to do it no matter what. The data tap's protocol buffer is now reset. A pair of round eyes peer up at you from under the hood of a grime-smeared winter coat. You recognize him as David, one of the Kreuzbazaar's street kids. If you had to guess, you'd place him in his mid-teens, though it's difficult to tell beneath the grime and acne marring his face. You've seen him following Monica around between runs, chasing her heels like a lost puppy. She always seemed to have a soft spot for the kid. Oh, hi, Minerva. Have you seen Monica around? I've been looking all over for her. She's dead. The kid blinks, a blank expression on his face. As blunt as I was about her being dead, I'm not going to go into the details. It was quick, she went peacefully. That's the most any of us can ever hope for. Actually, no, hang on. I was going to say, I'm sorry, kid, we all are. It's better. I'm not going to lie to him either. Yeah. Look, I want to be alone right now. I really don't see any reason to be going to the Talismonger, but I might as well just take a look at what's going on in the different places. Absinthe. Something about the young elf behind the counter makes your breath catch in your chest. She's lovely to look at, but it's a strange kind of beauty. Her eyes are large and luminous and impossibly green. As she looks up at you, you can see her irises are flecked with iridescent gold. Hello, and welcome to Alyorn's. Perhaps I can help you with something. As she smiles up at you, her eyes fixed on yours, a curious feeling of weightlessness fills your chest. It feels as though you're floating in a warm, calm sea. A gentle current pulls you closer to Absinthe, and the sensation is pleasant. As you drift, the golden specks in her eyes begin to move. Look deeper into her eyes. I don't have enough willpower to do anything else. The golden specks in the elf eyes shift and swirl, slowly picking up speed. It's mesmerizing. All at once, the specks explode into light and color. Absinthe's eyes now fill your field of vision, and it feels as if you're drowning in an alien sea. The patterns traced by the shimmering specks in her eyes are kaleidoscopic, enchanting, nearly impossible to turn away from. Clearly, if I didn't have willpower 4, I'm not going to be able to get willpower 6 to wrench away. Lose yourself. You are lost. The entire world has been reduced to a churning vortex of green and gold. Dimly, you become aware that something is happening. You feel your body being buffeted by unseen forces, and suddenly everything goes black. Slowly and painfully, you struggle your way back up to consciousness. The shop's owner, Alyorn, is peering down at you, an expression of concern on his face. Absinthe stands beside him, her expression one of embarrassment. Welcome back, friend. Alyorn extends his hand to help you to your feet. Absinthe shifts slightly to allow you to stand. What was that? What happened? My fault and my apologies. Sometimes when I daydream, I bring others along for the ride. It was unintentional. Yes, but there was no harm done, correct? You'll be fine. No harm done. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to go stand in the corner for a while. So, or is it Algernon? Algernon, Algernon, either one of the two. So I believe he was from the Dead Men's Switch campaign. Greetings, young human. The elf's voice is smooth and silk and rich as clotted cream. Something about him instantly puts you at ease. I'm going to call him Algernon. I'm Algernon Halfdream, the owner of this establishment. In my shop, you will find only the finest in magical paraphernalia. Now tell me, how may I serve you? I have a question for you, if you don't mind. You're in luck. I have a great many answers. What's the deal with your assistant? There's something funny about her eyes. Absinthe is a friend, nothing more. She helps out around the shop when the fancy strikes her. She is nobody's assistant, and I am no one's master. But her eyes? He pauses for a moment, considering. I believe they suit her personality. Now, need to know? I am assuming that if you were to ask this of a Shadowrun mage in the real world, this would be one of the most irritating questions in the world, but what kind of magic do you practice? Shamanic? Hermetic? And the reason I say that is because, and by the way, this is absolutely not a slight against anybody who's asked me this, because I know I've been asked this in chat as well, but it's like asking somebody, oh, you're into economics. Are you of the saltwater school or the freshwater school? Now, Paul Krugman has tried to resurrect that in some of his essays, but there's no academic economist I've ever talked to who actually considers economics in those two divisions. They solve particular problems, and I think one of the things that they try and do is avoid particular dogmas on certain things. There's definitely people who have their opinions, like, for instance, Stephen Williamson. I think his blog is called, like, New Monetarist Economics or something like that. So definitely, and I mean, his textbook, definitely he takes New Keynesianism to task, and he's, I won't maybe say unfair in his treatment, but he definitely jumps on a couple of things that people perceive as being problems with that model. Whereas, let's say, Greg Mankiw is probably one of the best known New Keynesians, and some people, raise some problems that some of the more, classical style models have. But in general, I think you would have problems if you tried to divide the economics profession between two camps like that, because I mean, first of all, those are two particular views of the macroeconomy. There's definitely gradations between it. The subject is not so simple you can just divide it between two camps like that, but maybe that's a conversation for another time. In any case, yeah, so I suspect if you're to say to somebody, it's like, hey, are you a shaman or a hermeticist? It's like, it's kind of missing the point. Although, of course, as far as classes are concerned, yeah, there's a difference between the two. Personally, the true kind, but I sell goods tailored to all traditions. In my shop, we do not discriminate. So, actually, that's probably the answer you'd get from The Economist. Now, is there anything else that you need to know? What's your story? How have you been in the Kreutz Bazaar long? I have many stories. Stories of dancing spirits and raging dragons, of unchecked magic and swarming chaos. All of these stories are true. As for the Kreutz Bazaar, I have always been here, quietly peddling my wares. It is a simple life, but a good one. Is there anything else that you need to know? I was going to say, can I see what you're selling, but I'm not going to buy any of it. I suspect from the, if I remember correctly from the tabletop game, your ability to perform magic reduces based on the amount of cyberware that you have. And as a decker, I'm going to at least have one piece of cyberware, likely more than one. So there's Absinthe keeps her eyes hidden from view. Please excuse me, I have work to do. So I believe Algernon in the Deadman Switch was, I think he had multiple, like he existed in different places at the same time. Dancer's bag, yeah. Robbing someone. Tip the dancer. One Nguyen. I will confess, actually, I tend not to give people money on the street, so apparently I save that for video games. That is not a personal evaluation by the anyway. If people do that on their own, that's clearly their business. The Romani Patriarch is an impressive figure, an enormous man in his late 60s, burly and broad-chested despite his age. His voice is deep and resonant, his breath is heavy with the stench of pipe tobacco. Davin Baxtel. You're here to conduct some business? If so, I welcome you to Metbach Arms and Ammunition. If not, keep right on walking. I was actually hoping to ask you a few questions. You make a purchase, you can ask me as many questions as you like. The corner of his mouth twitches upward. Make a big enough purchase, and who knows, I might even answer a few. So what'll it be? Will you buy some guns, or will you be on your merry way? In that case, I suppose I'm buying. Metbach nods. Very good. And I can't afford any of it. I think I went for an SMG this time around. So let's at least see what the options are. So I've got a Beretta Model 70, which is 5 damage. I suspect the range is going to be the same for all SMGs. So it's a higher damage SMG. Actually, that interests me a lot, that the pistols do more damage than the SMG. If I'd known that, I actually would have gone for a pistol again. So looks like the best I can get is a 6. And I'd want to get the Smart Link, just because if I don't have one, it's something I definitely intend to be getting later. But again, just slightly irritating to know that I actually could have gone for a pistol this time around and better. So I have 150 bucks though anyway, so I'm not going to be able to get anything. Yeah, don't mind me, I'm just passing through. Metbach's face hardens. After a brief pause, he gives you a curt nod. Very well, Gachi. But if you come around again, come with money and come to buy, understand? He makes a shooing motion with his hand, waving you away. Move along now, Zadvlasa. I really like how they incorporate kind of either phrases or slang from other languages, but I am definitely not a very worldly individual, so I have pronunciation problems frequently. Alright, let's see what Zach Flash has to say. Obviously, I am taking a very leisurely route to complete my tasks, but I am working for free, so Altug can complain all he wants. This elf has clearly seen better days. His skin is weathered and emaciated, as though he's been stretched too tightly over his frame. Track marks line the crooks of his arms, and dirty bandages wrap his knuckles. Despite all this, he seems cheerful enough. The elf fixes his twinkling, bugged-out eyes on yours and offers you a broad smile, displaying a set of impossibly white teeth. When he speaks to you, his voice is surprisingly deep. Guten Tag, mein Freund. You here for some magic? Because Zach... no, CPO Williams. This is probably going to be a short stream, so it's just going to be Shadowrun tonight. I know it feels like Crusader Kings 2 is kind of a bit of a staple here, but I do kind of want to do a little bit of variety, and I had started Dragonfall, so if you're here for CK2, I definitely don't want to disappoint you. If you want to hang out and enjoy Dragonfall with us, I'd love to have you, but I definitely can't keep myself to that just because I'll probably be wrapping up in a fairly short period of time. I will probably do Crusader Kings 2 next on Monday. You here for some magic? Because Zach Flash, he gestures at himself with a dramatic flourish, is your magic man. Magic? Are you a street mage? Zach lets out a throaty barking laugh. Street mage? Me? Do I look like a street mage to you? This is in my second night. I was just curious. Don't quite know what you mean by the second. I think you'd stop. Actually, I think you'd stop by. I think what you're referring to is that we started playing Dragonfall on the second time that you were watching. In any case, yeah, no, it's totally fine. I think one of the things too is I used to try and keep a list of games that I would regularly play, but I noticed that every time I try to do a schedule or something like that, something will come up to frustrate it. So I really enjoy playing Crusader Kings 2, and I like the interaction, especially the fact, I mean, everybody's really great about bringing something extra to that game, so I like it to be regular, but I also don't want it just to become a Crusader Kings 2 stream, because I know there's some people who find the game a little tedious. So, I think it would be wrong if I tried to be all things to all people, but I think if I just embarked on a big Crusader Kings 2 campaign, then that would sort of alienate a bunch of people. Whereas I think if I can mix it up a little bit, I might be able to bring people over onto the Crusader Kings 2. You followed me last night. Yeah, that's right, CPO Williams. I'm sorry, I actually had a couple of followers on that night, so I couldn't remember if you were one from the previous stream or the one before, so my apologies for not having a better memory for that. It's been a bit of a long day. But yeah, so there's no really fixed schedule for it. I definitely like Crusader Kings 2. I will unquestionably do it once a week. I actually think I'll more than likely do it twice a week, depending on if I do more than one stream on a week. But it's Dragonfall tonight, and I will definitely do a better job of remembering milestones like when you followed. I definitely appreciate it. Please don't take that as being ungrateful. He shakes his head, but his smile doesn't waver. He fishes a small bag of pills out of his back pocket and dangles it before your eyes. No, chummer, I'm not a street mage. I've got magic in my blood and the magic in these bags, but you won't catch old Zach studying any spellbooks. Well, in that case, let's talk about the magic you've got in that bag there, whatever you've got. Oh, a little bit of everything. I've got your Zen and your Hyper, your Nitro and your Nova Coke. If you want it, I've got it. Zach leans towards you and lowers his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. I've even got a special concoction of my own design, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you're serious about getting high. So, you want to conduct a little business? What's up with the bandages on your hands? Zach snorts out a short burst of laughter. He waggles his bandaged hands in front of you. Oh, these? Nothing much, chummer, nothing much. Tussled with a spirit back in Amsterdam. You know, we elves are a very spiritual people. It is an absolute shame I can't do the race elf answer, which is, oh, come off it. Elves are not, on the whole, any more or less magical than anyone else. I'm in a position to know. It's like, you fought a spirit with your bare hands? Did I say fought? Zack winks at you and smile twisting up to his licentious smirk. You can't help but noticing that his eyelashes appear to be dusted with glitter. It's cool, I don't expect you to remember me specifically. Well, I mean, CPO Williams, I think one of the things I like about small channels and especially the interactions on this one is that people like, I mean, especially people like you who are quite active in chat, enhance my enjoyment of the stream. And I like the fact that a lot of streamers who I think are very high quality streamers are able to... You're more or less magical on the whole. Hey, Endors. I mean, one of the things that I like about some streamers is that they are able to have this really wonderful memory about when people, you know, like either in terms of whether or not they're a resub or a regular sub or something like that. Now, I TA a class and I still can't remember my students' names. So unfortunately, I don't have that kind of memory. And it's a shame too, because like if somebody gives me a combination or a phone number, the weirdest thing is that, like, or maybe they don't tell me, maybe they tell it to somebody else. I'll remember that number, even without putting any effort into it. But if somebody gives me their name or something like that, I'm really poor at keeping that kind of information in. So, yeah, with that in mind, like I said, it's, I was going to say, as far as expectations of remembering people specifically or that, it's a standard I like to hold myself to. But needless to say, your presence here is definitely felt and appreciated, even if I'm bad at remembering the following days, even if it was just yesterday. Numbers are easy? Yeah. Unless it's my probability, or no, sorry, my econometrics class. Doing the review of probability, I gotta get back to my set theory. Alright, back to Zack Flash. Zack winks at you, his smile twisting up into a licentious smirk. You can't help but noticing his eyelashes appear to be dusted with glitter. Nah, chummer, Zack Flash is a lover, not a fighter. We partied, we tussled. Hard not to get banged up under the circumstances. I'm calling bullshit on this one. Zack's smile vanishes. You calling me a liar? To my face? You'd rather I do it behind your back? In an instant, Zack's disturbingly white smile returns. I just can't stay mad at you. Alright, chummer, you get this one for free. So where was I? Oh right, the spirits. Elves, you know, my people, are creatures of the spirit. We've got the magic in our blood, whether we sling spells or not. I'm telling you, I've talked with spirits all my life, and it has nothing to do with praying to a totem or studying spell books. Flash lowers his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. Between you and me, my mojo is stronger than any corp any corp wage mages. All those rat scum bastards at Az Technology. They cast spells all day and night, right? Fire this and lightning that, just tossing them around like candy. Right. Well, me, I'm just doing my thing, not casting spells. I'm storing up my energy, saving it. Can you imagine how much magic I have? I don't think that's how it works, Zack. Trust me, my friend, I have secret knowledge. He slowly turns his head from side to side to give you a good look at his upturned ears. Like I said, it's in the blood. This guy is the Charlie Sheen of the Shadowrun universe. Okay, Zack, I trust you. Now can we do some business? Well, I am a businessman. I suppose that you're a customer. Who am I to say no? So, you want to conduct a little business? Let's deal with the special concoction. Flash's grin broadens even further. His mouth is disturbingly large, and there's something menacing about the sight of those two white teeth. This is the real deal, chummer. A proprietary blend designed and delivered by yours truly. Pharmaceutical-grade kamikaze cut with genuine spirit residue from Tyr, and then mixed with my secret blends of herbs and spices. He produces a small packet filled with iridescent purple granules from the pockets of his dirty jeans. You want to get high? Buy some Nova Coke and throw yourself a party? But if you want to soar, get yourself some Flash. So you want to conduct a little business? Show me what you got. I'm not going to buy anything from him, but... So Flash, Zack Special adds +2 movement, +2 AP for 1 round. 700. Not happening. Kamikaze Combat Stun adds +2 body, +1 strength, and 1 willpower for 5 rounds. And Nitro adds strength and willpower for 2, but -2 charisma and intelligence for 5 rounds. See, this is actually... I was going to say the... Things like Nitro are what interests me about drug mechanics in games, because clearly... I think what would be most interesting is if they made games where there's actually long-term effects for substance abuse. I mean, most games probably don't really deal with the long run anyway, but like a good example, you know, Crusader Kings has like the drunken trait and stuff like that. It would actually be really interesting to see, you know, see games actually try and track somebody's use and substance abuse. I mean, especially in a game like Shadowrun. Like the important thing about Shadowrun, and especially the cyberpunk genre as a whole, is not to have a squeaky clean future. You could maybe do a transmetropolitan thing, which is, you know, you've got different biotech to sort of filter out all the toxins in your body, but at least acknowledge it. Don't, you know, live in a world... I don't really like the idea of a romanticized underground where, you know, as long as you're a Shadowrunner, you can take drugs and not have to suffer negative consequences for it. And a temporary minus to your intelligence and your charisma is fine, because, I mean, obviously, any substance... I mean, even alcohol, right? You're going to behave in a different way, and it may enhance certain things about you. Definitely impacts parts of you as well. But of course, over the long term, there's a reason why we consider alcoholism a disease. So, I don't know, it'd just be really interesting that if they could kind of recognize both sides, that, you know, after repeated use of a particular substance, that you suffered some long-term effects from it. Speaking of long-term drug effects, will you ever do multiplayer games? Do you like Crusader Kings 2 or other games like that? I actually really want to do multiplayer games with people on the stream. The challenge that I face is when I tried to do live Dota 2 broadcasts, I noticed that the ping was high enough that I couldn't really effectively cast the game. Now, I think I was able to do Civilization with my friend Bree during the Extra Life challenge, and it seems like that was okay. So I suspect as long as the game is relatively light on its bandwidth requirements, I should be able to do multiplayer games, and I think that would actually be something that would be really fun to do with the stream, is to do some multiplayer games. But with that in mind, I need to do a little bit of testing in terms of just in terms of making sure that there are games that will actually be 1, fun to play, 2, fun to watch. This is actually something I'm looking to develop as well, so if anybody has some thoughts along these lines, feel free to send me a private message through Twitch. I mean, also feel free to communicate it in chat, but if you have maybe some extended ideas along these lines or some recommendations of some games that you think would be good multiplayer, I'd love to hear it. One of the things I'm actually considering is maybe doing a day where we play a game, like, so let's say Crusader Kings 2 would be a really good multiplayer game to play, and obviously it is. But let's say the bandwidth requirements were such that, you know, I'd be constantly desyncing the game, or I wouldn't be able to stream during that. It'd be kind of interesting to maybe have, you know, a day every couple of weeks or like once a month. I don't know if I'd have enough time to do it once a week until school's out. But basically, if I'm not able to stream multiplayer games, have something for the stream so that, you know, if you're interested in playing a game, we'll have a day set aside where, you know, we can play a game together, and then the stream will just be back to single player stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's probably a longer answer than you were planning. But I'm definitely interested in doing multiplayer, and so far have not done so just simply because of bandwidth constraints, but it's something I'm looking into. Another example of this actually would be Don't Starve. During Extra Life, my brother kind of popped in and gave me a lot of advice for that game, because he loves Don't Starve. I'd played it once during early access and never came back. But clearly I have Don't Starve Together coming out. So I probably wouldn't host a server, but if I was able to connect to a server and not have to worry about bandwidth problems, that would be another good example of a game that I think might be kind of fun to do multiplayer, and in theory at least wouldn't have too much of a demand on. But yeah, I mean, it's as with most things on the stream, like if there's stuff that you want to see more of or stuff that you'd prefer I didn't do, I'd like to think I'm pretty open to feedback. Obviously I'll always kind of take the always take the final say. So if I think that, even if something's particularly popular but I don't think it would be good for the stream in the long run, I wouldn't necessarily do it. And then I face some technical limitations, right? I could get the bandwidth to do the stream at the quality I would like and to be able to do multiplayer games. But that internet package would cost me $100 a month, which is just not affordable when I'm in school and making a TA wage. So I sort of recognize some of the limitations that I have, but also getting some feedback in terms of things like, we'd like to play some multiplayer games. That forces me to start thinking of creative solutions to them, like, for instance, having a game day for the stream. And we just want to hear you, system. I'm never going to get tired of seeing that Craigasm face. Listen, if you just want audio, I'm happy to provide audio. So that's actually another thing, too, is one day, as let's say a long-term goal for the stream, I would eventually like to put some kind of a camera setup in. But I do have a background as a photographer, so the whole idea of like having, bookshelves or dirty laundry in the background is not my ideal. So I'd want to have like a green screen and make sure that the lighting was right. Paradox Games put the bandwidth burden on the host. That is awesome to know. So basically, if had somebody else hosted the game, I'd probably be able to do a multiplayer stream. So I think we should test that in the semi-near future, I think. Maybe give me till probably midway through February before I do that, because I have summary statistics that I need to present in the first week of February, which we're basically at right now. But yeah, I mean, I have a particularly arduous set of school tasks that I need to do, but I think sometime in the coming month we should maybe test that stuff out. Incidentally, by the way, if any of you know some good guides for Europa Universalis 4, I'd actually like to learn that game better as well. I think that would be another fun one to do. Alright, I'm going to continue the story of Dragonfall. If you guys have more stuff to talk about, though, I'll still be reading chat, but I should get some of the plot. Yuck, you don't like EU4? Simi, warming herself by the dim light of the dying street lamp, the waif of a girl who looks like she's too worn for her years. The Mother Superior, she says that there will be 7 for me to care for. I need to see to them. I wasn't aware of any convent or church nearby. She's there when I close my eyes, and I'm Maria. I'm almost certain she's talking about The Sound of Music. Yeah, she says I'm to be the governess to the children. You notice a chipjack poking out underneath the young woman's unruly hair. The vacant look in her eye marks her as an unlikely BTL junkie, lost between reality, as a likely BTL junkie, lost between reality and any number of better-than-life virtual constructs. I need money to get back to them. This story sounds familiar. Oh, yuck, school. Not EU4, I love EU4. Okay, good, yeah. School's fun, too. I mean, school gives me things to talk about. One of the things I was gonna... Well, I will be... streaming in the somewhat near future is This War of Mine. And a lot of my research has actually been about small-scale conflict. There's a lot of stuff that I have to say about what This War of Mine is about. I actually got some really interesting feedback from somebody. Well, not feedback, like we were just talking about games, and they said it's like, I can read about what's going on inside Syria in the paper. Like, when I play games, I want to escape. And that is absolutely fine. Like, I think one of the finest things that happened around the period of World War II was Charlie Chaplin making movies, because when times are tough, people absolutely need forms of entertainment, and people don't necessarily have to feel bad every single time they go to the movies. Obviously gaming is a very dominant form of entertainment right now, but the one thing I would challenge is saying is like, do you actually know what's going on in Syria when you see, read the papers? And that's not to be any conspiracy-minded thing or something like that to say that you're getting disinformation, but I think the actual experience of somebody on the ground is something that by necessity we miss in the way that we're covering a lot of these stories. Love that game, and I know the history for the game, which is very sad. So I'd actually be really interested to know what it's based off of, because I know they say that it's based on real-life events, but I don't know what conflict it's supposed to be in reference to. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I would challenge on the person, and I absolutely understand their position, because there's a lot of really crappy stuff that we need to read every single day in the paper, assuming we do read the paper. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that a lot of news reporting tends to be about large global events. It tends to be this very top-down view, and the individual tragedy that will come up in any given conflict is usually something that is missed. Or the old Stalin quote, right? When you kill one, it's a tragedy, and when you kill a million, it's a statistic. And so, you know, the research that I've been doing for this thesis has been about small-scale conflict. It's been about insurgent groups. There's a very good paper in the Journal of Economic Literature about civil war, which I've read. It's Bosnia and Kosovo. Okay, yeah, I kind of suspected, but yeah, like, this is the big thing, is that you can definitely read the paper and you can know the facts, the data about what happens in Syria. But I'm not entirely sure that you can quite understand what somebody goes through until you have, you know, the human element is important, and I'm not entirely sure it's what you get from journalism. My character is very edgy looking. Well, this isn't my character, but yes, my Decker is rather unique. Captain Von Trapp is very well known and respected. The poor dear lost his wife and children to their mother. A child should not be without a mother, and a mother should not be without a child. Am I a math major or a history major? I am actually an economics major. Have you seen the captain? Look, do you know Monica? Monica? Is she one of the sisters at the Abbey? No, wait, Monica. A flicker of recognition flashes through the haze in the young woman's eyes. Yes, Monica, she's good to me. Brings me food to eat and tea to drink. Something happened to her. Despite the woman's persistent delirium, she seems to glean meaning from your tone. She died? While working on a job, yeah. The girl grips her head with her claw-like hands, tugging at her hair as if she might pull her brain out through her skull. I don't like this, but I can't switch it off. The girl's frail body shudders and her eyes grow large, but she does not sob. Instead, she smiles a sad smile, which looks to have been worn all too often. She will go to heaven, she told me. It's a place for good people, stillborn babies, and childhood pets. And she was a good person. The girl then begins to mumble to herself while fingering the hair that covers the jack in her head. I'm going to step away now. Yes, good. I need to rejoin the children. So yeah, actually, so just a quick word on what I was talking about as far as drug use there is, like, you won't become Simi in the Shadowrun games. And I think, a player maybe will take the right life choices that don't turn them into an addict. But let's face it, how many addicts think they're going to turn out that way, right? And I think, in a tabletop setting, that possibility is there if the game master wants to go into those particular kinds of scenarios, but you don't necessarily see that experience in computerized versions of RPGs. Maybe it's just not fun, right? But I think that'd definitely be an area that an independent could take up and see whether or not they can do a mechanic that's a little bit, let's say, truer to life, while still retaining the fact that a game needs to be fun. Bizarre monument towers before you. At the top of the pedestal, the form of an angel stands, its outstretched wings looming over the small park. But the material is strange and uneven, giving the statue a cold, Frankenstein-esque appearance. It appears that the artist has welded this monument together from various metal scraps and pieces of junk. As you approach, a small, grimy monitor at the base of the statue flickers dimly to life. The grainy face of a smug young orc appears on screen. Can't watch this for much longer, unfortunately. I just started this game, so I can't watch past where I am. Oh, I understand, Cruton. It's probably going to be a bit of a short stream tonight anyway, so I may not go past where you are, but this is one of the problems I run into on Telltale games, or when somebody was watching Bioshock or playing Bioshock Infinite, like the DLC. I absolutely love watching that stream. It's seriously Clara, by the way, so I've hosted her a couple of times. Somebody I definitely encourage you guys to pick up and give a follow if you haven't already. But I had to turn off the stream every time she played the DLC, just because I didn't want to miss out on the action. So and we talked a little bit about why I have variety in the stream, and this is one of the reasons. Is I definitely won't spoil Dragonfall for you. You know where you are, and I can assure you that we won't play it. We won't play it exclusively, because I understand some people don't want to see me run into some stuff for the very first time. All right. As you a small grimy monitor at the base of the statue flickers dimly to life. The grainy face of a smug young orc appears on screen. Hello there. I am Herbert Kunzel, the creator of this monument. What would you like to know? Press the 1 key. Statue name. This is my tribute to victory, the victory of anarchy. It is both a citation and a parody of the statue we destroyed some 20 years ago. You may remember it from the history trids as Sigsol or Goldes. The spoils are the best. Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't mind spoilers that much, although, I think the problem is that when you have something like a chat, you only require one person to not want to have something spoiled to, make it a bad experience for somebody. So, if somebody sent me a message on Twitch spoiling a game, I'd probably be upset, because that's just generally the kind of behavior of somebody who probably will do other things that frustrates me. But I don't go too crazy about having stuff spoiled, just because usually good... Like, here's the thing for me, right? There's, an old movie, The Usual Suspects, or actually, Seven or Fight Club or something like that, right? All of those films have pretty surprising endings. But I enjoy watching them over and over again, because how they get to that conclusion, if anything, the endings of those put a new spin on everything that you'd seen coming up before. And then you have like M. Night Shyamalan kind of endings, which are just like this totally arbitrary spin off into another direction at the very end, and it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But so for me, I enjoy the journey as much as the ending, but I think, in the end, people should be able to enjoy their entertainment on their own terms. And generally posting spoilers is the sort of thing that, why... I figure we should have more avenues of entertainment, not less. Let other people play video games for me so that I don't have to put forth effort. And we are happy to do so for you, Endors. It's a mutually beneficial exchange. Alright, press the 2 key, installation history. Isn't it obvious? The Sieg is all. I have no idea what this monument is, actually. I know nothing about Germany. Did you say 7? What's in the box? Yeah, exactly. Well, I also think there's a statute of limitations on this stuff, right? Like, if you know that Rick decides to put Elsa on the plane at the end of Casablanca, if you didn't know that and you were mad that I spoiled the ending of Casablanca for you, like, there's a, you've had your life to watch that movie, and it's like one of the most parodied endings ever. So, but as a whole, I kind of, I go on the, I go on the side of caution. And I mean, in the end too, like, I know people like to post fake spoilers, and I've sometimes been guilty of this a couple of times myself, but every time I've done it, like, the stuff I say really isn't that funny. So, maybe I just don't have the right sense of humor for that, but anyways, I'm gonna have to look up what this thing is, when the stream's done. A monument to the hubris of the Prussian state gets blown to bits, so someone takes lots of bits and builds a monument to the hubris of anarchy. I mean, what more is there to say? Press 3, about the artist. I am the visionary Herbert Kunzel from the Lundwurmer. You may know me from... Dang it, system, I was planning on watching this thing. Spoiler alerts, please. How dare you ruin that for me? Just kidding, yeah. Chad is now rioting because I gave away the ending to Casablanca. It's a beautiful film, by the way. If you guys haven't actually seen the whole film, it still holds up. I mean, some people kind of laugh at some of the the 40s style tropes inside of it, but honestly, I think it's the closest you'll get to a perfect movie, in my opinion. I think it's like, if you think about it, so it's a love story, which I think we sometimes have a problem doing in the modern age. It's a political thriller because it's entirely about, the letters of transit. You gotta sneak past the Nazis. You're dealing with this really complicated political situation in Casablanca, which is French-owned. France is occupied by Germany, but it sort of exists in its own legal state. You've got smugglers, you've got people being murdered for the documents. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on in that movie. And just because it's, in black and white, and noir film and things like that, I guess it's not really technically a film noir, but, it's just because it's old, you kind of miss that there's a lot going on in that movie, but it has all the stuff that makes movies really good inside of it, so actually kind of want to watch Casablanca now. Anyways. Okay, well, there isn't that much I'm known for yet, but I intend to change all that. All art is born from misery, after all. Step away from the statue. All the gin joints in all the world. Play it again, Sam. It actually says play it, Sam, and I believe it's Elsa who says that. Nobody says play it again, but the Woody Allen film was Play It Again, Sam. Also a very good film, but not for the reasons that Casablanca was good. As you're resetting the data tap, you notice someone has duct taped a small homemade receiver to the system. An earplug dangles from the receiver. Recommends Casablanca right after spoiling it. What can I say? I'll put on my scumbag Steve hat. Put the earplug in your ear. The sound of heavy machinery makes it difficult to hear the words that are being spoken. After a moment, you can make out two distinct voices. A nasal woman who sounds like a heavy smoker, and a man who speaks in a high-pitched, breathy tone. X just heard X. Monica, need to verify. I'm not going to bother making static noises. Good for us. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Yeah, okay, that's how I'll do the X's. Sound like a conveyor belt starting adds to the noise of the machinery, and you can't make out anything else until it comes to a stop a minute later. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Think our next step. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Bzz, wait, bzz, bzz, bzz. Isn't ready to make a move yet. Bzz, bzz, bzz. To be patient. Bzz, bzz. See who steps up. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Could be someone more. Bzz, bzz, bzz. More conveyor belt. Yeah, that's not a conveyor belt sound. More conveyor belt start up. All you can hear is the sound of machinery. Some sort of motorized vehicle starts up, drowning out everything else. Continue listening. Bell rings loudly again and again. It sounds like a telephone. You hear the sound of a door slamming shut, and the noise of machinery is suddenly muffled. There's a rattle of plastic, and the ringing stops. The nasal woman's voice can be heard again in a sing-song tone. Guten Tag, how may I help you? Silence. Her tone changes, becomes more businesslike. I heard. Silence. Yes, he knows. I told him it wasn't the time to make a move yet. Silence. What do you think I am, an idiot? The council needs to meet again. Silence. I know. Getting everyone in the same room is challenging. Getting them to agree on a course of action is going to be even more challenging. From my perspective, the Kreutz Bazaar was only stable because of her. If she really is out of the way, well, we'll see, won't we? Silence. Yeah, I know. What can I say? Things go slow in the flux sometimes. You hear the sound of the door opening again, and the cacophony of machinery fills the line. You can't make out anything more. Walk away. Go XXX like it shows realism. I'm pretty sure conveyor belts don't go X either. Phone rings. It's an old, obsolete phone booth. It's ringing. Pick up the receiver. Honestly, who plays a game like this and walks away? You don't go on adventures by not picking up the phone. Monotone, pitch-adjusted voice begins speaking almost immediately. Oh man, I wish I had some kind of an auto-tune for this. Just imagine T-Pain reading this. Wow. Shock. Schockwellenreiter's contact for this Keats is no more. Minerva is listed as a follow-up contact. This is our only secured line to this Keats. Please listen to the following instructions carefully if you are a supporter to our cause. We're the Schockwellenreiter, and do you have an abbreviation? Did you just call me Bay? I'm gonna call Danny... What? Yeah, who are the Schockwellenreiter? Schockwellenreiter is fighting for the freedom and liberty of all information in Berlin. The F-state manages many things, but information remains controlled. Corporations keep any information that they can under lock and key, silencing dissent, silencing indiscretions, silencing the truth. Our goal is to liberate this information so that any who wish to may access it, so that the F-state can regulate itself based on truth. We are simply a collective of like-minded individuals working towards this cause. Continue listening. We have phone booths in the strategic locations throughout the city. Within each one, you may find a request posted for specific information. If you can obtain a copy of this information, return here and submit it via the port below the receiver. We will verify the authenticity of the information remotely and post an undoctored copy of it to the Matrix ourselves. It is our stated goal for this information to remain free to all. However, you will be compensated for your sought-after information returned to this location. The line goes silent. I'll keep an eye out. Line remains silent. Hang up the receiver. One of my classmates is half German. I think I'm going to sit him down with a copy of this game and ask him to help me with all my pronunciations. Alright, that's probably the longest time that it's ever taken to do this side quest, but I got to know all the inhabitants of the Kreuz Bazaar. What is the area code number for Canada? Well, the international is 1, but the area code depends on where you live. The man behind the counter has a broad smile and an open demeanor of a classic Turkish street vendor. Welcome, honored Efendim. Welcome. How can the Benghazi serve you today? Would you like a cup of coffee, perhaps? I finished with your little trifle, Herr Bergazi. Ah, very good. I assume you had no difficulties. Difficulties? No. One of the taps had been modified a bit, though. Someone was using it as a surveillance device. He laughs. Of course they were. I'd be surprised if they weren't. This is Berlin, after all. In the flux, everyone spies. If you do not spy, how will you know who's in power and who will be in power next? I mean, it has enough people to require more than one area code. Ha ha ha. Although we do all live kind of along the southern border. If you are to stay here, Effendi, you must get used to it. Who enters the Turkish bath will sweat, as my uncle Tadmeyer always says. Nevertheless, I shall have one of my people look into it. Wait, there's more. No. I listened in on the tap and heard something. Might be important. He eyes you closely, amused. Oh, tell me, O listener at keyholes, what did you hear on the surveillance tap that you found? Couldn't make out much. A nasal woman and a high-pitched man. They seemed pleased that Monica was out of the picture. The Turk's face falls. News travels fast in Berlin. These two are known to me. Is there more? The woman got a call. She talked about a council meeting tonight to decide if they should make a move. Then she was drowned out by heavy machinery. He nods grimly. Most excellent. It is indeed fortuitous that you discovered this information, though it is not unexpected. I'll have one of my people attend this council meeting and report back. I'm very interested in this, so let me know what happens. With that out of the way, let's return to our pressing business. He barks a stream of rapid-fire Turkish at the gum-chewing young woman and comes hurrying out of the counter. Comes hurrying out to the counter, not of the counter. The menu for Herr Amsel, uncle. Cami hands you a folded piece of paper. Inside is a memory stick. please extend my consolations to him? The death of Fraulein Schaefer must have hit him hard. Burgazi gives Cammy a small nod, and she hurries out of the room. When she's gone, he returns his attention to you. Please express my condolences as well. I've only just heard the news. Monica was an important part of this community. He frowns. Few know how important. The memory stick Cammy just handed you should contain all the information Herr Amsel requires from our chef in the field. Should you require my services in the future, you know where to find me. Until then, good day. Oh god. I'm having camera problems. What are you doing? Okay, here we go. I'll just start with Amsel. Minerva. Amsel peers at you apprehensively. His eyes are bloodshot, his expression grim. Did you get the information about Green Winters? Yes, I spoke to Altug. He gave me this memory stick. Let's see what this agent has to say. Amsel snatches the memory stick from your hand and slots it into his computer terminal. He navigates a series of command line menus, and a wall of amber text floods the screen. Amsel scans it, mouthing the words as his eyes flit back and forth. Burgazi's agent tailed Green Winters to a hotel in the cesspool of the Keys called Dragonfall. The hotel is called Das Kesselhaus. It is a renovated factory nestled deep in the heart of Dragonfall. It appears that Winters is holed up there, so it's possible that Green Winters is the high-pitched man. Or the nasal woman, for that matter. Recently, there was some connection between the two gangs over the control in this neighborhood. Due to the gang violence, the agent refused to follow Winters inside of the hotel, but he confirms that he was still inside. Well, what are we waiting for? Iger slinks a rifle over her shoulder with a single spare motion. Gear up, people, we've got a hotel to raid. Glory and Dietrich pause, exchange looks with Paul. Just a moment, Iger. Amsel rises from his chair, drawing himself to full height. Even so, he has to crane his neck to look her in the eye. You are an excellent soldier, and nobody questions your competence in the field. Your loyalty to the team is equally commendable. That said, we believe Minerva is the right choice to lead the team. There is a long pause before Iger speaks. When she does, her voice comes out dull and flat. What? Getting all these commercials about starving African children again. Thought those were over years ago. If the camera adds 10 pounds, do those African children even exist? Yikes! They'll only continue as long as we keep feeding them. I think there was something Bill Gates recently just published, or not just published, but like a report that he did about the difference in terms of crop yields in Africa and sort of the developed nations. It's actually really, it's an interesting and tragic problem because if you consider the majority of, well, I mean, actually, if you consider historically, our most common and, in fact, the real oldest profession is actually farming. And it's what the majority of humanity has done for its existence. I suspect, I don't actually have the data on this, but I suspect if you were to look at Africa, I think the majority of the land is, well, maybe not the majority of the land, but I suspect a good majority of the work being done is farming, and yet I believe it is a continent that is importing food precisely because the yields are just so low. They'll only continue as long as we keep feeding them. The way to end starvation is to let it win so that it loses. It's definitely a Malthusian argument that humanity is going to expand to take up its resources. But yeah, specifically for Africa, I mean, I think one of the things that tends to get missed on the whole debate about genetically modified organisms and things like that is that it's a technology that we've kind of come to rely on in order to feed our own nations and develop such a surplus that we can actually export it to other countries. Whereas because the technology hasn't been shared, not specifically that technology, but just in general, our technologies for farming don't seem to have been disseminated amongst the developing nations. They're in this really kind of unfortunate situation where, despite the fact that all of their efforts are going into farming, it's still not enough to actually feed the population. Bill Gates just learned how to turn pure sewage into clean water. I did actually see there's apparently a clip about that. He was like on Jimmy Kimmel or something like that. I didn't actually watch the video clip though. Usually when people share stuff like that online, it comes with like internet hyperbole, you know, that one weird trick that destroyed everybody's beliefs about X, Y, or Z. I don't like supporting headlines like that, so, but I should take a look at it, because whatever you think of Bill Gates, he definitely does a lot of reading, and usually a lot of the stuff is pretty interesting. So, all right, don't mistake this decision for reprimand. Monica considered your contributions to the team to be invaluable, but we all know that she wasn't comfortable putting a soldier in charge. Iger speaks through clenched teeth. Her words are measured, but her expression is livid. This is unbelievable. You want to put the rookie in charge again. She shakes her head. Don't you people learn from your mistakes? Minerva is the reason we're still alive, Iger. She kept us together. She let us out in one piece, making her your #1 girl. She sounds tired, resigned, but above all, disappointed. This is more of your flux state idiocy at work, isn't it? Dietrich reaches out, puts his hand on her shoulder. It's what Monica believed in. Iger's voice tightens. For a moment, her control slips and her face contorts in grief. Yeah, and look where that got her. Because of the fact that some of tech used for farming can be used for other things also. You mean you're talking about... So in this case, the technology hasn't been shared because of concerns about security. She straightens to full height. Let me give you a piece of advice. In the field, only 2 things matter: the mission and survival. Everything else is a distraction. Your ridiculous politics have no place on a Shadowrun. Dietrich manages to smile. What can I say? We're German. We have a history of strong political views. Iger sighs. That's actually one thing that slightly disappoints me. Apparently the Dragonfall is, an event that is concise. So again, like a dragon coming out, burning half the country, being destroyed, and the awakening is so traumatic that that's something that gets lost, and yet apparently people can just casually joke about the Holocaust. Not entirely sure how I think about that, but I suppose there's a difference. So, Iger sighs. The tone of resignation returns to her voice. Screw it, let's put an end to this. I've got the skill and experience to lead this team. Minerva, on the other hand, was appointed by Monica as a joke. If you'd rather she take the lead, I'll abide by that, but I want to hear what each of you say. I have no quarrel with you, Iger. I'll do as the group wishes. You stay out of this. She stabs an armored finger into your chest, hard. The moment she raises her hand out to you, Dante's ears lay back and he lets out a low growl. Reflexively, she takes a half step back. I think we've heard what Dante has to say. As for my part, Minerva saved our lives back there. You may not believe it, but she did. The way I see it, that means I follow her lead a while longer. Glory's voice is uncharacteristically gentle. I trust in Monica's judgment. Therefore, I trust in Minerva's judgment. The discussion is finished, Iger. Amsel speaks softly, but his tone is firm. Minerva will take Monica's place as the leader of this team. Alright, what motivating speech do I give to my teammates? If I wanted to break character, great. Hey Iger, could you grab me a psych-cap? It's such a fantastic response. But in this case, I'll do whatever it takes to keep this team and Monica's legacy alive. That includes taking your advice, Iger. Iger gives you a small nod. That's big of you. She looks from Dietrich to Glory to Amsel, finally down at Dante, then she sighs. I don't agree with the decision, but I will respect it. She nods again, more decisively this time. Minerva takes the lead then. Conversation closed. It's time to move on. We need to focus on chasing down Green Winters. Indeed, I have transferred the information that we received from Altug to the computer terminal in the next room. It used to be Monica's personal workstation, Minerva. Now it is yours. Monica kept a variety of notes and dossiers on that machine. I would suggest reviewing her notes when you have time. Amstel turns his attention away from you and back to his computer screen. Good hunting. I will eagerly await your return. Wouldn't suggest driving to Dragonfall. The roads aren't safe. Taking the U would be faster anyway. Thanks for the tip, Iger. The U-bonnet is... I don't like that I'm completely following her, but yeah. Well, I will take the good tip. Iger nods, turns to check her equipment. The rest of the group disperses in turn. You now command a team of Shadowrunners. When traveling to new mission locations, you'll be able to choose which members of the team you'll bring and modify the loadout for the run. When members of your team become permanently incapacitated on a mission, they'll be automatically extracted from emergency medical care. They'll be patched up and ready for action the next time you return to your safe house. Avoid this loss of firepower by always carrying the Bumona trauma kits into the field. These can be purchased from the Street Doc's office near the Kreutz Bazaar. Do a bit more dialogue. Minerva, you should probably be getting ready for your trip to Jas Kesselhaus. Time is short. Got a question for you about the Kreutz Bazaar. A little slice of heaven, isn't it? What can I tell you about our Keats? Where can I sell pay data found on a run? Check the Shadowlands BBS on the mission computer. Monica, she used as a bidding service there to sell valuable data. Do we have? I'd like to get your take on some of the other people in the Kreutz Bazaar. Very well, where to begin? Samuel Beckenbauer is a good man, perhaps xenophobic, but that's got to be expected. He stands up for the rights of the Goblinoid races. The orcs and the trolls, yes? They've been more vilified than victimized than any of the other metahuman breeds. What is important is that he's a leader and a healer, and that he helps his people. I don't think I ran into this guy. In the Soichkaf shop, you'll find Jan Goldschmidt. I tell you that you'll find him there because he never seems to leave the place. Every time I go for a coffee, he's there, sipping on Soikaf. Beyond that, I cannot say what I think of the man. He is a jovial sack of fat. Perhaps if you speak with him, you can learn something more. Have you any more questions for me, or may I get back to work? Let's see if there's anything else interesting about the... stock up for our next job. You know what? I've visited every single one of... Oh, no, I haven't checked cyberware. If by decent you mean competent, then yes. Around the corner you'll find a clinic called Triage. The owner, Dr. Escabel, is a cyber surgeon of some renown. He can see to your needs. You don't seem to be overly fond of this Don Escabel. Is it so obvious? Yes, I suppose that it probably is. I have many friends abroad, Minerva, and I hear stories that from Escabel's native Spain that do not incline me to like the man. That said, there's a difference between a man's deed and his work. Escabel is by all accounts an excellent surgeon. As long as your association with him begins and ends there, I'm sure that you'll get along swimmingly. Tell me what you've heard from your friends in Spain. No, I'd rather not. I've said too much already, and it isn't my place to deprive the man of business. In the end, it doesn't matter what I think of him. When it comes to our suppliers, we don't get to pick and choose. If you want your chrome, Escabel is your only choice. Exploring on my own time. Should get back to work. Thanks, Paul. Auf Wiedersehen. Got nothing more to say, boss. Let's just get this run taken care of. You can hit me up later if you want to talk. This isn't the best time to come back later if you want to talk, and I suspect Glory's going to say the same thing. Minerva, what do you need? Oh, nice. Any thoughts on what we should do next? Find our missing client, extract some answers. Beyond that, take jobs, get paid. Are you holding up? Don't worry about me, I'm solid. We've had this conversation already. Alright, so I want to find this... I probably don't have money to afford it, but I want to at least see the cyberdock. Lane, before you stands a troll, though it is a stretch to say he's standing at all. His great mass is barely held upright by 2 vintage prosthetic legs, along with a crutch under one arm. His body clicks and hums with every shift of his weight. Despite these disability, his eyes are sharp and calculating. I know you? Haven't been here long. New to the Kreutz Bazaar then. Heard Monica had some fresh meat in her stable. Something you should know about Monica. Something happened to her on the run. You know something about it? Just what my eyes and ears tell me. I had a feeling. Besides, Monica almost always comes around after a run to check on everybody. She's long overdue. And now you're here in her place, so she's either severely wounded or outright dead. Which is it? Dead. Grizzled Troll nods grimly. The servos in his prosthetics complain as he lets loose a heavy sigh. Now that is a shame. She's a hell of a runner, that one. And a good friend. I'm Minerva, by the way. Good to meet you, Minerva. My name's Alexei Lane. It's your place in the Kreutz Bazaar. No place, really. Just an old relic rusting away. I'll leave you be. Thanks, you're useless to me. Right. At the sound of your approach, the orc turns to face you. He wears a severe expression, but there is kindness in his eyes. Ah, hello, human. As you can see, I'm in the middle of a conversation with my assistant. This is the guy we were talking about. The volunteer worker holds her silence, but her expression is full of naked hostility. Samuel gives her a sidelong glance, and she seems to get the message. The fire in her eyes dies down to a low simmer. We do not want to be impolite. Is there something I can do for you? I couldn't help but overhearing your conversation. I take it that you run a charity of some sort. Sorry, I wasn't reading the conversation between them. He nods. Yes, it isn't much, but we do what we can. Such as? Give me specific. He clears his throat and begins to count off his fingers. Well, in the past several years, I've established a shelter where the dispossessed can sleep, a soup kitchen to feed the hungry, and a library for the people of the Kreutz Bazaars to better themselves. It isn't much, I admit, but it's a start. A good start, Samuel. You mustn't be so hard on yourself. There are limits to what man, even a determined man, can accomplish. This is true. He nods to the orc at his side. Thankfully, some of the residents I've helped over the years have come back around to help me. I've got 15 assorted orcs and trolls from all around the Kreutz Bazaar working with me now. They help me man the soup line, stock the library shelves, and do all of 100 other little things that keep this community organization that a community organization needs done every day. These extraordinary individuals are living proof that what we do here has value. They are my inspiration to continue forward. She beams at the compliment. From her body language, it's clear that she idolizes Beckenbauer. Now, do you have any more questions? If not, I will bid you good day. I don't wish to sound self-important or rude, but there are many pressing matters that demand my time. Say 15 assorted orcs and trolls. Does that mean that other races aren't welcome with your organization? It's taking a rather narrow view of what we do. Yes, it is true that my assistants are all members of the goblinoid races. It is also true that before they accepted my help, they were thieves, gangers, and deadbeats. This is not because they were bad people. This is because those of us with goblinoid traits are feared, mistreated, and denied gainful employment by a society that hates us. I hire only goblinoids because mainstream human society has created a need for me to only hire goblinoids. The orcs and trolls of the Kreutz Bazaar deserve a workplace where they can be treated with dignity and respect. That being said, our services are available to all. We wouldn't turn a desperate person away regardless of that person's metatype. Even humans, the most privileged of all races, are welcome at our door. Isn't that what's most important? I don't really want to challenge this guy too much, but this is an interesting point. This is your use of exclusionary language is telling. Even humans are allowed? Please, my maiden. He shakes his head. Don't make this into something it isn't. Okay, that's fair. Who the hell are you to question Samuel? What have you done for the Kreutz Bazaar? No, there are more important things to do than argue about this. He nods at you. I'm sure that her heart is in the right place. Now please, friend, there are many tasks that demand my attention. Is there something more that you need, or shall I bid you farewell? I'd like to talk to you about your organization. He nods. Yes, of course. Please go on. Are you accepting donations? Yes, of course. We're actually desperate for them, truth be told. People seem more intent on taking care of themselves than they are for providing for the less fortunate. Of course, these concepts are not unrelated. As poverty rates increase, so does the crime rate. Assisting the needy increases the quality of life for all. In any event, our shelter has some basic needs that desperately need to be filled. The walls of the shelter are not insulated, and new blankets would go a long way towards keeping our guests healthy and comfortable. Ideally, we'd like to purchase some space heaters as well. With 250 million, we could make the purchase. Whatever you could spare would be most appreciated. Actually, let's go for the 100. I mean, there's a few different ways that you can cut it. I mean, yes, Shadowrunners are particularly selfish and such, but I am not entirely sure it's bad to have a healthy community around your hideout. If there's less crime going on, less police stop by, less likelihood of you being found. Samuel accepts your donation with a smile. A fine donation. This will do a great deal of good. Thank you. You're welcome, Sam. Think nothing of it. With this contribution, we now have 100 saved towards our 250 gold. Not going to give him everything. Let's talk about something else. Very well, if you wish. What would you like to talk about? No questions, just passing by. So now I really can't afford anything from the doctor, but let's see if I can find him at least. I'm also assuming that it gives you the option to basically buy up, or basically buy out the, basically do the full donation, which I just don't have enough for. So no jobs from there. Maybe I misunderstood where this doctor's supposed to be, because these are all... I mean, unless he's through the Underbond, but I don't want to go through that yet. Now we get the delightful Twitch experience of watching some guy who's clueless about a game find what is probably really obvious to everybody who's watching. Cash. Well, I don't actually have cash, but I want to remember how much it cost for the smart linked SMG. Oh, actually, wait a minute. I don't believe I have any points in a specific weapon type. I don't even know if you can pick a specific weapon point type, so I can always switch out of this. So I want to stay with an SMG. The Uzi with a smart link is 800, and for pistol... Browning max power with a smart link. Okay, so it's basically 800 for the tapped out version of anything that I want. Good to know. Ah, there we go. Triage Cyber Clinic. As you approach the elf, you notice he's in a mid-conversation. His lips move rapidly, and his voice comes out in a low, quiet tone. The glossy plastic shell of a high-grade comlink glints on his wrist. Listen in on his conversation. Doing your best to look uninterested, you lean in slightly and strain your ears. You find that you can make out the doctor's end of the conversation. No, the price I'm quoting you is more than fair. Well below market value, in fact. If you can't pay it, that's your problem. Yes, I know that the price has gone up. This is a seller's market. Well, then you'll just have to find the money or go without. I'm sorry, but I have to go. I have a patient. He presses a button on his comlink and looks up to you. $1 million smile is on his face. Sorry about the wait, my friend. Welcome to the Triage Cyber Clinic. He extends his hand to you. I'm Dr. Xavier Ezkabel. And your name is? Shake his hand. Minerva, a pleasure. Pleased to meet you, Minerva. What can I do for you today? Cyberware. So I should be going by the game's tutorials rather than what I remember from the Shadowrun RPG, but I don't believe essence is relevant to anything except your... Excuse me. I don't believe essence is relevant to anything if you're not a magic user. I think it's just a limit in terms of what you can put into your body, so definitely want that smart link if I don't have it already. Okay, so data jack is the same thing as a smart link, so I've already got that. Cyber leg will give me HP and quickness. Quickness, I think, is related to my ranged attack, so that's good. Vision magnification. The dermal plating is interesting, but not a priority. An eye data jack. A data jack concealed inside a cyber eye, a favorite of spies and infiltrators. That's horrifying. I mean, I already have the data jack, so I don't really need to do that. But just imagine using that in a smart weapon, right? The guy you're fighting takes a minute to plug his gun into his eye. Induction data jack, useful for deckers and riggers who don't want to sacrifice valuable headwear space. Well, it's too late for that. I've already got the data jack. Okay, this is actually interesting. So does this imply that I'm able to remove? Okay, 6 HP. Bone lacing plastic. So +1 bot. Actually, that's not bad because that would make me overall stronger. So vision magnification and cyber legs sort of seem to be my priorities right now. So 2,000 for those at a 2 essence cost. So I pretty much tap myself out with 2 legs. Okay, no, actually I'd be able to afford both the eyes and the legs, and looks like I wouldn't be able to do anything else. But I think I'd be okay with that, so... Actually, I'll price this out. So to max out what I have there, 750... Okay, 4,750 plus the gun, which would basically be 5,550. I have a feeling I'll be doing a few runs before I can afford that. Alright, I'm a little curious what happens if you finish donating, so I'll go sell the information that I picked up at on the original run, see if that gives me the remaining 150 I think I needed. He said he needed 250, I gave him 100. I don't know if I'll start the run or if I'll just go through it. I think if I go through the run I should take a break, but... your workstation and mission computer, the command center for your team's operations, and your last link to the memory of Monica Schaefer. Her thoughts and words live on in this machine. At times, it's easy to forget that she's gone. The cool blue tones of the workstation's main menu fill the screen. A blinking message in the upper right corner notifies you that you have 0 unread messages. Check it for new messages. Right, read the old messages. Hello, Ace. Screen flickers to life and Monica's face appears, her hands on her hips, and she's wearing a wry smile. Hey Ace, if you're reading this, it means I've either died or stepped down. Hopefully the latter, probably the former. Not many Shadowrunners make it to retirement age. In any case, I'm sure that you'll do a fine job in the role. If you need anything, talk to Paul. He's a good man, and he knows how important it is to me that you take my place. One last thing, Ace. Iger might cause you some problems. In fact, I think it's a fair bet that she already has. Just remember, she brings something to this team that nobody else does. You'll want her on your side. My advice to you is this. Hold your own with her. If she pushes you, push back. Don't try to butter her up with flattery, she'll see right through it. Most of all, do what you can to earn her respect. She'll never be satisfied following you if you give her a better reason. If you don't give her a better reason than because Monica said so. I have faith in you, Ace. It's up to you to justify that faith. She half turns away from the camera, then returns her attention to you. Her image is uncannily lifelike. Oh, and by the way, Ace, if you botch this, I'm coming back and haunting your ass. I mean it. The message ends and the image fades. You find yourself back in your inbox. Go back. access the Shadowland BBS. Shadowland connection established successfully. Link strength 100%. Spoofing equals on. Group info null and on. Welcome to Shadowland. Post-pay data for sale. Attached data to escrow account. Data will be automatically sold to the highest bidder. Both parties will remain anonymous throughout the transaction. Post the antiquities delivery schedule. Posting successful. Posting will remain active for 2 days. So I don't get the money right away. Search BBS for relevant keywords. Topics matching local keywords. I actually don't know either of these, but let's take a look. Killer in Seattle. Anyone else reading about this? Said he's got a Lone Star contract and they can't catch the guy. This Emerald City Ripper has been on a spree and so far no one has a clue. Pathetic. If something like that happened on my block, some vigilantes would have tracked him down and stopped him. Shows how good state payroll cops are. Maelstrom. Oh, actually, I think this is Dead Man's Switch's killer. Who says it's a he? They don't have any leads. Tolstoy. I'll be in Seattle next week. FWD, any info you have about this Ripper, and I'll see about taking him out for a date with my Walther MA2100. I'm sure Lone Star will give a fat reward rating for whoever blasts this goon. Pro shot. Norboson's thread. Thread who is Blutz. I think that's the name. I'm still recovering the logs. This hot dogger just trashed my Landtrid hosting server. Sounds like some kid pissed off over his cartoons getting cancelled. Left a bunch of garbage files all over my disk that I'll be cleaning them up all day. Should make you pass a dumbass test before you're allowed to deck in this town. Lumens. Step up your security. Write some white ice programs if you can, and at least make the kid's hair stand on end for a few hours next time he tries it. Tolstoy. Just make sure that your ice is quick. Heavy-hitting ice is no good if you can't catch up with an intruder. A fact I take advantage of on a regular basis. Clockwork. Always running, ACW, the Smiling Bandit. Strikes again, haha. Like clockwork. If you two are finished, I did have ice on the thing. Tracked the hole down. Grocery store across the street was piggybacking on my land, and they left me an unsecured jack point in the bathroom stall. Old as hell maintenance jack in a fuse box. My security ignored it. Mystery solved. Lumens. Shadowland isn't your personal tech support board, Lumens. Glad to see you fixed your own problem. Only way you're gonna learn. Maelstrom. No more posts in this thread. How like life. Okay, go back. Team personnel files. Watch Monica's entry on Amsel. The image of Monica appears on the screen. Paul, a talented, well-connected fixer with contracts all over Berlin. She pauses for a moment. He's more to me than that, of course, but that's neither here nor there. The image winks back off the screen. You find yourself back at the menu. Return to the menu. Monica's entry on Dietrich. Image of Monica winks onto the screen. Dietrich, one of my dearest friends and a shaman of tremendous power, a good man to have at your side in a fight. I tend to use Dietrich in a support role. His magic can dramatically bolster the combat effectiveness of a frontline fighter like Iger or Glory. When the chips are down, he's more than capable of dishing out punishment on his own. Can't think of much else to say about Dietrich, just a good, reliable guy. She pauses for a moment. When she speaks again, you can hear a hint of guilt in her voice. He's getting a little long in the tooth for a Shadowrunner. I'm not sure how many more years he has ahead of him in the game, but I'll be happy to run with him as long as he's able. We'll see, I suppose. The image winks back off the screen. You find yourself back at the menu. Monica's entry on Glory. The image of Monica winks on the screen. Glory, our damaged enigma. I've known her for almost 5 years now, but I don't think I ever really know her. Somehow I doubt anyone will. On an operational level, Glory's solid. That chrome of hers may be old, but it gets the job done. I've seen her take a troll apart with her hand razors, and when her adrenal pump is running, she moves faster than anyone I've ever seen. On top of that, Glory's a competent field medic. I don't know where she learned medicine. Yet another question mark. She's patched me up at least a dozen times. Between her skill with a med and Dietrich's magic, we haven't had much trouble with serious injuries, and in our line of work, that's a luxury. Monica pauses for a moment, then shrugs. It's really all I know about Glory. She keeps to herself, barely talks, and spends most of her off time staring at nothing. I've seen this kind of behavior before, of course. Something bad happened to her in the past. Deep down, I think she's still running from it, and I'm sure that cyberware ties into it somehow. I don't know. Maybe someday she'll open up to me. I'd like to think that she will. We'll see, I suppose. Image winks back off the screen, you find yourself back at the menu. Iger. The image of Monica winks onto the screen. Iger. What to say about Iger? She's smart, she's strong, and she's one hell of a soldier. In a close-up fight, I've seen her take apart an entire security team with her shotgun. She's even more dangerous at range. It's a handy thing having a trained sniper on the team. All in all, we enjoy one hell of an advantage thanks to her. Unfortunately, there are some disadvantages too. All of that military training has left her, how to say it, rigid, I suppose. Unlike the others, Iger isn't content to go with the flow. She wants lists and maps and timetables. She wants a hierarchy and she wants it formalized. I don't think that she realizes it, but giving her what she wants would destroy this team. Gloria and Dietrich wouldn't put up with it for more than a day or two. I know that I wouldn't, but she keeps on pushing all the same. Monica shakes her head. One of these days this situation is going to come to a head. I just hope that it doesn't happen soon. The image winks back off the screen and you find yourself back on the menu. And Monica's entry on yourself. The image of Monica smiles on the screen. Minerva, my secret weapon. I've run enough with Minerva to know that she's trustworthy. Good in a fight too, but beyond all that, it's just good to see her again. There aren't many people left from the old days, far too few. And Minerva? She smiles. Well, she was always the best of them. She takes a deep breath and shakes her head with a sigh. God, that was sappy. Mental note, re-record this before Minerva gets a chance to see it. At any rate, if anything happens to me, it's good to know that she'll be on hand to fill my shoes. It's not what Iger would want. It's what it would be best for the team. Okay. Open the jobs directory, jobs main, view all pending and active jobs. Back to root. Notes on completed jobs. Okay. I think I've exhausted that. Maybe Monica liked her Shadowrunner friend more than a friend. Hey, Rogue Number, by the way. I believe that is actually an option in chat when you are talking with Dietrich. I didn't actually go for that one. I just implied that we were regular friends. But I do think you have the option of implying that they had a deeper relationship. It's giving me more than one arrow. I think that's just because it's another... Yeah, it's just another Underbahn location. One last thing I want to do, I'm sorry to go back to the hideout, but I did notice that there were 2 arrows there, so I just wanted to double check that I'm not missing something major. It just seems to be pointing the computer again. I don't know if I'm missing something about it. Already checked the inbox, old messages, nothing in jobs. Did I miss something in Shadowlands? Nope. Okay, I'm going to assume that there's nothing else there. Alright. I've delayed this long enough, we'll actually go on to the mission. It would have been nice to have a better mission, but I should be able to survive. On platform, board train. Assemble the team and travel to Das Kesselhaus Hotel to search for Green Winters. It's kind of neat, actually, that implies that you'll be able to change runners inside the team, because I think in Dead Men Switch you just had your regular team. The Drug Pit, Das Kesselhaus Hotel and Nightclub, the crown jewel of Drogenkip, the finest, filthiest Keats in Berlin. Opening the door to the ground level dance club is like bashing your head into a wall of sound. Flashing lights stab your eyes, and the air is perfumed with cheap synthanol and engine grease. Everything in here is cranked up to 11. A playground for the numb. Green Winters is somewhere in this building. You steel yourself for the sensory assault and step inside. Team makes a quick check of their weapons and follows you into Das Kesselhaus. I have no meaningful options for what I'm carrying. It says erosion is in the stash, but I don't see any way that I can actually... I actually don't see any way that I can equip it, so... Yeah, I mean, this is all just standard loadout. I don't have anything else. Troll working the door might be the shortest you've ever seen, and the thickest. It's a tunican troll. Despite the pounding music and writhing bodies, his face is buried in a comic book. He looks up, gives you a cursory once over, and sighs. Welcome to Das Kesselhaus, under new management, again. There's no cover, just go on in and get your fix. That's Kroner at the bar over there. He'll take care of you. He buries his nose back into his comic book while tapping a meaty thumb over the black plastic slung from his belt, a high-powered stun gun. Just play nice, or you'll meet Herr Zapp. Have fun. I'm looking for someone, maybe you know him. Keeps his nose in his comic book. I doubt it. This place is filled with interesting people just dying to meet you, so go meet him. It's supposed to be some sort of F-state actor. You know what? His name's Green Winters. No? No. He puts down his comic and his voice slows to a crawl. He makes a point of enunciating each word. I point people to the bar. If someone starts trouble, I give them a taste of Herr Zapp. That's it. That's all I do. Nerd troll. Wish you knew what he was reading. I'm just gonna say, I already referred to the comic Transmetropolitan once, and it is related to my profile picture, so I'm just gonna say that he's reading reading that. Also important to remember, nerd troll with a zap gun, so I'm gonna hold off from angering him. Man, this club has everything. Come party with me. Girl in the corridor is a model STEM junkie, all wild eyes and nervous energy. She greets you with a smile so wide as to border on grotesque. Hey, good looking, you want a party? With you, not a chance. Excuse me? Come party with me. You've got some cram, right? You just love a lady that's willing to share. Thanks, but no thanks. You're lost, sweetheart. I'm sure it is. Cheap sign done in block lettering across the door reads, Hotel closed by authority of new management. Electric panel. Looks like the elevator's locked down, but the control system is tied to the building's LAN. I don't have drill control, so I can't call the elevator. It's actually the first time I've ever wanted to have a rigger in a Shadowrun game. I don't think any... I mean, I didn't play the tabletop a whole lot, but it never came up when I played it, and I've never felt the need to play it in the computerized version. The music out here on the floor is way too loud for comfort. The scene going down at the bar is even louder. The dealer on duty stands impassively behind the bar. Desperate-looking young woman is pleading with him, apparently to little effect. Alright, Silk. I'm going to explain how this works one more time. I get my cash, you get your cram. No cash, no cram. Period. But I need it, Kroner. Come on. Her words come out in desperate whine. Yeah, sorry, I can't do desperate whines. Pale skin, sunken eyes, and a trembling lip all point to early symptoms of withdrawal. I have cash, I totally do. It's up in my room. But you guys won't let me go up there to get it. Hotel's under new management, beautiful. You don't have a room anymore. Whatever was up there, you might as well forget about it. That was all I had. I have to get right. Soon. Maybe work out a trade. Cram for services. Services? Understanding slowly shows on the young woman's face. Her eyes go wide. Come on, Kroner, you've got to be fucking kidding me. You want the creme or not? She sets her jaw, a look of disgust on her pallid